think what I've noticed is that there's an interest coming from so many different generations of people. You know, I'm kind of representing this like teenage storyline, and then also Chyler and Andie and their existing fan bases too are all involved. And so what I'm seeing a lot is that it doesn't really matter where you are in life, that there's something in this story for you, and that there's something really really fleshed out and really complicated and interesting to sink your teeth into, no matter what generation you're from. And I think that's really exciting for people. And for me, I love thinking about, you know, mothers and daughters, or parents and their kids, or grandchildren and their grandparents being able to all talk about the same show and find different things that they love, but ultimately come together in their interest for the way home. And I think that that's really exciting for people.
I think you're absolutely right. I think that's the Hallmark effect, is it's a show that will interest all generations. You happen to play my favorite character in the show, Alice, and she is the youngest of the three Landry women. And she is, I just like Alice. She's tough, but she's got a lot going on. She finds out that her mother and her grandmother are keeping sort of a secret from her. And instead of just kind of walking away, she becomes determined to find out what happened. And I was wondering if you could just clue us in, what do you think is driving her so much?
Totally. Well, I think there's already a little bit of curiosity piqued just in that her mom hasn't been home for 20 years when they arrive in Port Haven. But I think when Alice travels back in time to 1999 and sees how beautiful and loving and warm her family is, she's kind of like, okay, why can't we be like that anymore? You know, what happened? And you'd think that when something terrible happens to a family, like the disappearance of a child or the, you know, loss of a spouse or something, that it could have the potential to bring mother and daughter closer together and have them like lean on each other for support and really see each other as like, you know, this is our family, this is what's left of our family, so we're going to make it count. But in their case, it really drove them apart. And so I think the fact that she actually gets to go back in time and be physically with her family in a time when they were more connected, it's like lights a fire in her to get that back, try and have that with her family in the present day.
Definitely. And it changes her relationship, I think, in the present day with her mother and her grandmother. What was I going to say? Now, yes, so Alice can time travel. That's not really a spoiler. Most people know that. To time travel, Alice jumps into a pond or falls into a pond. Now, I understand you guys filmed on location in Ontario.
We did, yeah.
How cold did you get doing those scenes, and how did you stay warm in between takes?
Well, the first time that we did those water scenes at the pond was actually in late August.
Okay.
So it was pretty okay. You know, it was like in Ontario, we're swimming in lakes, we're swimming in rivers anyway. So it's all fine and good. And I had a couple stunt doubles too, because just the number of times that you have to film going in the water, I couldn't get like dried off fast enough.
Sure.
So that was really cool, just to in terms of like the movie magic to make that all happen. And then on top of that, you know, the pond storyline continues for the rest of the season. So a couple of the other times were in October, and then even later in the season, I won't give anything away because it's pretty late in the season that we are jumping in that pond. And so, you know, sometimes it is our amazing stunt doubles, and sometimes it was just like wearing wetsuits under your jeans and wearing, you know, those like race blankets, those like tinfoil, like,
oh yeah,
in between takes,
or
scuba coats, different things like that. But the underwater stuff was shot in a backyard pool, and that was in October, and it was like, you know, really, really heated, and it was actually very comfortable and really cool. So it kind of varies. It goes from like, you know, really fun, silly swimming in your clothes in August to like really freezing cold wearing a wetsuit.
That was, you know, I'm sure that was a lot of people's first thought. How did they do that? But I'm glad to hear you're okay. And as for you, you've got, I mean, this isn't your first rodeo. You've been in films, you've been in television, you studied acting. Still working with someone like Andie MacDowell or someone like Chyler, Leigh, you must have learned a few things from them. I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about what they've taught you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, like you said, this is like, for me, this is one of my first big roles where I'm really like sinking my teeth into like a really long character arc and getting to know a character pretty well. And so to find out that it was Chyler and Andie who were playing my family members was really exciting and a little bit intimidating too. But I think what I've learned is just that, these are people who have a very, very impressive list of credits, and they're also just have remained so warm and generous to someone who's just getting started. And I think like there's of course the things you learn by being on set with them and watching their acting, but one of the biggest takeaways for me is that like you can be very, very accomplished and celebrated and well known, and you can still give so much and be so generous, and that's all part of it. And I think that Chyler and Andie are amazing examples of that. They just like brought me into the fold like right away, and it was just so nice and comfortable, and we have a lot of fun. And